Hey guys, it's Carly bringing you episode number 5 of my entire DVD/Blu-ray/VHS horror movie collection. Hope you guys are enjoying these videos. Like I've said before, I just kind of make them whenever I can and put them out. So yeah, I'm just going to get right into this so the video is not overly long. And first up for this part we have Hide and Seek. This has Robert De Niro and Dakota Fanning in it, and this is one I've always enjoyed. It's more of like a thriller in a sense, and I don't really hear a lot of people talk about it, but I've always kind of enjoyed it. I don't really like Dakota Fanning, but I think she does a good job in this, and you know, of course, Robert De Niro is good at it as well, and just when you find out what's going on at the end, I think it's really, really creepy, and definitely one I would recommend people check out because I don't really hear a lot of people talk about this one. So yeah, I enjoy it. Up next we have High Tension. This is one that I really enjoyed the first time I watched it. I know a lot of people have problems with it because they feel that the ending or the ending doesn't really make sense, but you know, it's been said that if you watch the beginning and pay close attention, that the ending does kind of make sense. And to be honest, when I first watched it, I didn't really know about the beginning portion of it. I wasn't paying attention, and I still enjoyed the movie though. Like, I knew the ending seemed like fishy and didn't really make sense, but I still enjoyed it. So either way, I still find it to be a solid movie. Then we have The Hills Have Eyes original. I didn't really care for this one as much as I was hoping to. It's very, depressing, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. They do a good job on making it depressing and things like that. It kind of reminds me of like a mix of Texas Chainsaw and like Last House on the Left. Just has like a similar vibe to it in my opinion, and I didn't really care for the ending either. I think it ends pretty abruptly if I can remember correctly, and yeah, not a bad movie, just not one of my favorites by Wes Craven. Up next we have The Hills Have Eyes remake and The Hills Have Eyes remake sequel, and this double pack here. This is an instance where I really enjoyed the remake a lot more than the original movie. I think they better parts from the original movie because there's some parts that are really just shot by shot, made like a shot by shot remake type style, but at the same time they expand on the story and kind of go on their own storyline path, and I just think it's a lot better than the original. Definitely still depressing. The story behind this is just depressing in general, but I think it's done a lot better than the original. And then the sequel to it, of course, is not as good. It's more weak. Like, the storyline's just not as good, but at the same time I still find it to be enjoyable. Up next we have The Hitcher from 1986. This is one that I always loved watching growing up. I had a big crush on C. Thomas Howell in this movie, not gonna lie, so that probably affected it a little bit, but at the same time it's still like a great road horror movie, and I really, really enjoy road horror movies, so this is one I would like to rewatch again soon because it's been a few years, but for me it's got great rewatchability. I don't know if some people might not agree with that because it's kind of like a slower, atmospheric type film, but it's one that I can definitely personally rewatch quite a bit. Then after that we have The Hitcher II. I've been waiting. This is a sequel that came out in 2003, obviously many years after the first one, and C. Thomas Howell reprises his role in this, but other than that, it's basically just a remake story of the original where you have just a hitchhiker terrorizing people, and it's honestly not that great. You got Jake Busey playing the menacing hitchhiker, but he's not that scary to me, and if you just look at it like another road horror movie and don't really think of it as a sequel to the original, it's really not that bad, but at the same time it's not great. Then we have The Hitcher remake from 2007. This is a remake that is an example of a pointless remake, in my opinion. It doesn't really add anything to the story that's exciting. Like, it does add some new elements, but the elements just aren't anything great or groundbreaking. It doesn't change the story for the good. Honestly, the changes make it weaker than, as opposed what the original does that people love so much. And you know, it's got some like bad like effects in it and things like that to try to amp it up a little bit, and I just don't really care for it. This is not one that I would rewatch a lot or anything like that because it's kind of pointless. I'd rather just watch the original. After that, we have this horror collection. It's got 17 movies, most of which are the Puppet Master films, and it's got 3 Killjoys, and then it has movies like Doll Graveyard, Dangerous Worry Dolls, Sideshow, and Demonic Toys 2, and I bought it mainly for the Puppet Master movies because I wanted to familiarize myself with them since I had never seen them before, and, you know, for the most part, they're all pretty solid. You know, some of the later ones are not that great. Well, actually, like, I feel like they kind of get better and then, like, get worse. It's kind of like one of those weird up and down type deals, but you know, not bad movies at all, especially considering the budget and things they had to work with. Then the Killjoy movies obviously are not that good. That's another one where like they kind of get better, but they're good for entertainment value alone. They're just kind of just how bad they're made, like it's kind of ridiculous and funny in a way. So entertainment value is pretty good, but the movies are not that good. Then these other random movies are actually pretty solid for what they are. Of course, they're like low budget films as well, but I thought they were all pretty solid. Besides Demonic Toys Part 2, that one's atrocious. I paid close attention to it and still had no idea what the heck was going on. It was very boring and just didn't make a lot of sense. So that's definitely like the worst one in this pack, but all in all, pretty good pack if you want to familiarize yourself with like the Puppet Master movies as well as some other Full Moon titles. Then we have Rob Zombie's House of a Thousand Corpses, whatever. You know, pretty good movie. It's one that I haven't seen this a whole lot of times. I remember watching it when I was like young. I think it was like on demand or something like that, and I put it on and I was like, what the F is this? And like turned it off because it was a little too brutal for me back then. But you know, not a bad movie for being one of, you know, Rob Zombie's like first movies. And I just think the ending's kind of, you know, weak, and I don't know, it's just not one that I go back to a whole lot. It's kind of just like lukewarm for me. But then we have The Devil's Rejects, of course, which is the sequel to that, and I actually think this one's kind of a masterpiece from the 2000s, of course. Definitely one of the best of the 2000s. I think he does a good job of expanding on these characters, this family of just like bad people, and I just love the family dynamic you have going on here. Like, they just seem like, you know, it's very like Texas Chainsaw Massacre-esque, where you have like they're a normal family to themselves. Like, you could tell they all love each other and they have this very strong bond, and they seem like, you know, it would be like my family, but except the difference is these people are doing like terrible things and they think it's all right. And I always find that really interesting in movies, and I just think this one's a lot more solid than the first one. I would definitely rewatch this one a lot more as opposed to House of a Thousand. Then we have the original I Spit on Your Grave. This is one I wasn't allowed to watch when I was younger because my dad knew it was a really brutal and just bad movie. So I didn't watch it until later in life, and I was pretty blown away by it. Definitely a very hard to watch film, but I really liked it. I thought I wouldn't like it because I didn't like Last House on the Left, and they kind of have like a similar theme going on in them, but I was surprised that I did enjoy this. Not one I would go back to a whole lot because it is pretty brutal, but I like this one, and I like the remake as well, probably on equal levels. Then we have Insidious, definitely one of the scariest movies to come out in the 2010s at least. You know, I just feel like the score, soundtrack, whatever you call it, is really creepy in this movie. It really works for this movie. One of the creepiest I've heard, and the jump scares in it actually work. They're not overly cheesy, where you have a lot of these ghost movies that only rely on jump scares and they're not that great, or they're just very forced. This one actually works, and yeah, the atmosphere is creepy. Just everything about it's really creepy. It really reminds me of high school because me and my friends used to put this one on in the background quite a lot, and it would scare us every time. Then we have Insidious Chapter 3. I actually don't own Chapter 2, and I don't really remember Chapter 2 that much, to be honest. I think I wasn't I think I was with that same group of friends and we weren't really paying attention to it overly that well. But anyway, Chapter 3, I really enjoyed this one as well. I think it's still a solid sequel. You know, when you get to like part 3s and stuff, you never know if they're still going to be good or not, but I think it was still solid. Definitely not as good as the first one, but I still think they actually tried and did a good job with this movie. It's got some creepy moments in it. Then we have Invasion of the Body Snatchers from 1978. This is actually rated PG. I didn't realize that before looking at the back cover recently. But anyway, I was really excited for this movie because I was on a kick of like these sci-fi movies with like weird effects and like stories and things like that. You know, I was kind of disappointed with it personally. I was kind of just like bored by it and thought it was kind of slow. Definitely one I would have to give a rewatch to because I do hear a lot of people talk highly of this, but for me it just didn't really do it for me. After that we have It Follows. A lot of people think this is like one of the best movies to come out in like this decade. I believe this is from 2015, and I would agree. It's a really well-made movie, really original plot. I really enjoy how there's really no adults around, and it has this just great timeless vibe to it. You have no idea when this movie is taking place. But with that being said, I found it to be a little bit overrated. Like, some people act like this is the best movie in the world, and to me it was just like, okay, pretty solid to watch, but it's not one that I really overly thought about a whole lot afterwards. I really base movies on how much they get me thinking, like days and days after, if I'm still thinking about a movie. And this one I just kind of watched, enjoyed, and then forgot about. But with that being said, still a very solid film. Up next we have Jacob's Ladder, which is like a psychological thriller from 1990 starring Tim Robbins. I absolutely love this movie. Just watched it for the first time, I believe last year, maybe 2 years ago. I get my years, they all kind of run together when it comes to movie watching, but I really enjoyed it. Pretty long movie, runs 116 minutes, so almost 2 hours, but it's definitely worth that. Like, it's, you know, deserving of that time frame because it keeps you entertained throughout. You're never really bored. You want to know what the heck is going on in it. It's kind of like one of those weird, confusing movies, but, you know, it ends up working out at the end. Like, you understand what's going on and things like that, and I really enjoyed it. Next up, we have another road thriller, which is Joyride, another one of my favorite road horror movies of all time. This is one that I rewatch quite a lot, rewatched it a lot growing up, still rewatch it today. It kind of sucks because this movie kind of makes me sad now, knowing that like Paul Walker died so young, and you know, I don't know, when actors die, it kind of makes movies just have this like sad, dark vibe for me. But with that being said, I still rewatch it quite a bit. It's also got some good comedy moments in it that I feel work well, and you know, it gets really dark towards the end, and there's actually some creepy moments in it too that scared me quite a bit when I was younger. So yeah, definitely another one of my favorites. Then we have Laid to Rest. JP, I believe, bought me this last Christmas, whatever. And I was pretty excited to check it out because this is one that I never watched growing up or anything. This is like a 2000s movie that just kind of slipped under my radar. So I was curious to check it out. The cover always interested me, and just like this killer. And I gotta say, I was pretty disappointed with it. Did not like it too much at all. The characters were the main problem for me. I just found them all to be really annoying for some reason. But, you know, the killer's got a good look to him, very original and honestly pretty creepy, so I do give it that. But other than that, I just did not care for the characters too much at all in this movie, and it really brought it down for me. And then lastly for this part, guys, we have The Last Horror Movie. Don't remember this one a whole lot. I do know it was about some dude who's trying to make a documentary style movie where he kind of just makes his own horror movies by like killing people and filming it, and he calls, like, you know, The Last Horror Movie, it's him like making horror movies. So it's kind of done in like a found footage type way. Don't remember it a whole lot, but I do remember it having some solid moments in it. I kind of like bought this on a blind buy, like back when I used to buy just a bunch of random movies online just based on the like title or cover and things like that, and I remember it not being too bad. Don't really just Just don't really remember it a whole lot though. So yeah, that is it for this part, guys. Hope you guys are enjoying these videos once again, and yeah, I'm gonna try to get them out as quickly as possible. Just keep making them whenever I have days off or time off and things like that. So yeah, thank you guys for joining me for episode number 5 here, and I'll see you for episode number 6.